Welcome to another morning mindset. My name is Michelle Dale, coming to you in here from Virtual CoWorking Space. Thank you for being here. Good morning, everyone who is in the room with me, Nikki, Mia. Good morning to everybody who's watching, or good afternoon, evening to everyone who's watching the replay. Now, this week we are talking about mastering the art of claiming clients. We are running a workshop inside Virtual CoWorking Space. If you are not yet in there, it's virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. You can come in and join the workshop. Now, what we talked about yesterday and what we are continuing to talk about is these keys to unlocking your ability to be able to draw clients to you and break that cycle of constantly feeling that you are chasing and scrabbling around and trying to go out there and make clients happen. And the sad thing is, the more we try to make clients happen, the more frustrated we get, the more negative we start to feel, and the less clients. It's almost like a repellent for clients when we're in that state where we get so desperate that it basically repels clients. We talked yesterday about how you would feel if you went into 2 different dentist surgeries and you needed dental work done, and one dentist did an examination. He's like, yes, this is what we need to do, this is how we do it, this is when I can do it for you, and go, here's the invoice, go and pay at the desk type thing. You would feel pretty confident that you wanted to work with that dentist. Whereas opposed to if another dentist had a look and was like, sort of like, yeah, I can do this for you. Please let me do this for you. Please, please, please. I'll do anything. I'll even do it for free or really, really cheap. You would probably not want to work with that dentist. You would not want that dentist working on you. So my point is here, we have to develop confidence. Confidence is the first key. So if you want to learn how to develop confidence, go into the workshop, look at part 1 of the workshop where we talked about the self-concept. If you were also here yesterday, or you weren't here yesterday, go back and watch that first video, because it tells you in the first video where to access and find everything that you need inside the community. Now, today we are unpacking the next key. The next key to claiming your clients is decisiveness. So many of us do not really fully know what we want in our business, and we often are using external circumstances to look around and then try to decide what we want. And we're doing this from our logical brain. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about, we do it from the place of, oh, look at what they've got. How are they getting their clients? Look at what that person is doing. They look like they're happy and having a successful business. Oh, look at what that person is doing. They're not doing what that other person is doing, but they look happy. So maybe I've made the wrong decision by wanting to do what they're doing and they're doing. And then we have this niche thing coming in, you know, like, what niche do I go for? Well, they're doing that niche, so that must be working well. And we're constantly looking outside of ourselves to find these answers as to the decisions that we need to make in our business that are going to determine what clients come in, right? So what we tend to do then is we end up going in this, again, I call it like ping pong. You're going from one decision and then you're having another thought that contradicts that decision, and you're going another direction. Oh, I'm going to go with this niche and I need these clients. Oh, but I don't like working in that niche, so I want to go with this. And that person said that the niche I really want to go for isn't going to work, so I'll do something else. Remember, like the techniques we talked about yesterday, everything works. Everything works as long as you say it does. So you need to stop looking outside and start looking more inside. And that is what today's workshop exercise is. So we are looking at decisiveness. You need to be able to decide exactly how you want your business to go. Now, I'm not saying you need to decide the details, and this is where a lot of people get confused. When we talk about deciding what you want from your business, we're talking about going to the end. We're talking about imagining when you're sat there in your business and you have everything that you want and it plays out and you're happy and enjoying yourself and excited to get up and excited to be present in your business. And you have everything that you need. You've got the income coming in, you've got about the right number of clients that you want to work with. These are the things that matter the most. And then what you do is you do an imaginal act, and we talk about this inside the workshop. Go and watch the video on the imaginal acts, and then you imagine in your mind what that end result looks like, and you create it for yourself. And then when you do that, this is the fastest way to get clients, because everything else, your higher self knows exactly what you want. So everything else will unfold from there. Even if you don't know in your logical brain, even if you don't know, I don't know what niche I want to work with, I don't know what clients I want to work with, I don't know what services I want to offer, I don't know what concept I need, I don't know. You know, if you're in this thing, we're often like placing conditions on how the business comes together. Like, oh, I want to work in that type of niche, but I don't think they've got the money to pay for it, so maybe I have to go in that. And then it just becomes this clutter in your mind. And when there is this clutter in the mind centered around the business, or the indecisiveness of, should I go left, should I go right, should I choose this client, should I go with that client, the easiest way to get to where you want to be is to imagine the end and let everything else unfold. So what you do is you work on core imaginal acts, and I've shared with you all of these primary core imaginal acts of what to create in your mind inside the workshop. So we go through them in a whole entire separate video. So what we want to do is create the end result and then allow, through inspired action, everything else to come from that. I'll give you an example, and I talked a little bit about this in last week's Take a Break sessions, where we were kind of like looking at how we need to sometimes step back, because it's the busyness and the overthinking and the doing too much that's actually going to block clients from coming in. We think that the more we do, the more we're going to have a chance at, you know, getting a client. But that's perfectly fine as long as we're doing it from a place of inspiration and knowing what the end result is for us. And if we don't do it from that place, then all we're doing is creating more clutter, because we're just adding more and more things into the room. And imagine if, like, you've got this, your business is this room, all you're doing is adding more furniture in there and trying to move it around, and it's just getting fuller and fuller, and you know, it's like we're seeing less and less of the end result, okay? Because it's just like, you want this amazing room, but you're just adding more furniture in and more clutter and moving things around, and it's getting too confusing. And that's basically what it turns out as if we are constantly scrabbling and looking for the next way, the next niche, the next skill you need to learn, the next place you need to find clients, and applying for jobs and requests for proposals and things like that. We're doing it from a place of the need to feel busy is what's going to bring those clients in, and it's not. It's really about going within and seeing how this all pans out before it does, because you have to see it, to be it, to create it. It's that simple. You have to see it in your mind to then be that person who has it, to then create it and have it show up. So decisiveness is very important. You need to have a decision as to the end result. So the end result could be, I'm working so many hours a day, I don't work on weekends, I have plenty of time with my kids, I work with fantastic clients, and I feel the excitement every morning when I wake up and I get to work with these clients, and I work with very high paying clients because my packages are X amount of money. So I only need to actually work with about 4 clients every month. And I do things that I enjoy doing with them every day. That's an end result. But are there any details in there as to what specifics that looks like? No, because you go to the end result, you imagine it, and then you start to imagine all the pieces of that coming together, and then you allow the manifestation, you allow the clients to come to you who match your imaginal acts. So when you're going out there forcing, trying to get clients from the outside, you might end up working with the clients who are not the right clients for you, because you're going out there and forcing all these things to happen. So you're forcing things into place as opposed to allowing them to come into place. So what you have to do is really do that inner work. So what I'm suggesting in the workshop is that you do this after the self-concept in the mornings, and you basically go into your mind, you go into your imagination. The best thing you always need to do is try and figure out what that end result looks like. You know, how do you feel waking up to your business every day? What makes you feel successful? Is it a certain monetary amount in the bank? Is it a certain amount that you're invoicing your clients? Is it a certain number of clients? Is it the ability to be able to work in a team? Are you doing different services or skills? You know, like you have to kind of like imagine that first. And you know what? It's really interesting, because have you ever, you know, like sometimes you'll go through life and something brand new would have happened somewhere, and you said, do you know what, I know that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I knew they were going to say that. I knew he was going to do that. And most of the time when you reverse back and you go back into those, I knew it, I had an inclination, it's because you've actually imagined it. Now, you may not be consciously aware of this, but as you go through life now, be very consciously aware. You have probably imagined an argument happening, or you've imagined going to a restaurant and it being closed, or you've imagined something like, because somebody told you, oh, we went to that restaurant and it was closed. You know, it could be anything, but you've taken, and it's sometimes seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, and you've imagined that in your mind, and then it comes up later down the line and you were like, oh, do you know what, I knew that was going to happen, because you've imagined it. So that's the power of the imagination. We heavily underestimate the power of our imaginations and our abilities, and we have to know and understand, and this has been repeated to me many times in my life, and I do it pretty much every day, and sometimes I can do this instantly where my kids are concerned, and where things I'm very detached from are concerned, that I can literally imagine something in my mind and it will occur in front of me. But when we're talking about doing it in this type of concept, in this type of scenario, to be able to get the right clients in our business, we are talking about imagining at the end result what the business looks like. And then I've got some very specific scenes, imaginal act scenes, which I've put inside the workshop video, which I do often. You know, I decide what I want. I decide I want a new client, or I decide I want to start doing consultations, or I decide I want a new mentorship client, or I just decide what I want. I decide I want to do a website. And that decision in itself is key, because then you can imagine yourself. Let's say, for example, you decide you build websites and you want a website client. You can then go and imagine yourself building that website. And as you start to imagine, and this is really key, as you start to imagine, you start to then develop this ability to know how things feel. Because as you're imagining it, you kind of know what feels good, what doesn't feel good. You know, like I know a lot of people have resistance to working with certain types of clients that they've had bad experiences with before, but they're still out there trying to look for those clients and just hoping that the next one won't be like that. But if you do these imaginal acts, you can then feel inside yourself what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And what will happen is, if you can find an imaginal act or an end result that feels really good to you, where you can say, I know what my business looks like now, and I've seen it in my mind's eye, and I know that's what I want, then what you've done is you've made a decision about your business. You've made a decision about how you want to feel in that business. You've made a decision about generally what your day looks like when you're running that business. And that is the key. It's the decision making through going in your imagination and filtering things out, thinking about all these different things. What a lot of people do are trying to make decisions from their logical brain. So if you, for example, are taking a VA training course and the VA trainer says, I've had great success on LinkedIn. All you do is cold email, 50 people a day on LinkedIn, and one of them will become a client. And you say, okay, well, I'll do that. And then you go in your mind and you imagine what it's like to email 50 people a day on LinkedIn, or message 50 people a day on LinkedIn. And then suddenly you don't feel great about it. You feel resistance to it. You're like, I don't want to message 50 people a day on LinkedIn. Then 100% that technique is not for you. That technique is not part of the perfect unfolding of your end result for you. So imagine the next technique you come across. Someone says, talk for 30 minutes on a podcast about something you're passionate about, and then mention your business at the end. Well, you can immediately think about something you're passionate about. You can go into your mind, you can see yourself doing the podcast, you see yourself enthusiastically talking about it, and then you think, yes, this is a good technique for me. So then what you do is you take it to the end, and you imagine you're on this podcast, you've done this interview, you're talking about it, the podcast person who's interviewing you is saying how wonderful you are and how much value you've given, and telling all the audience to contact you. And you imagine then, oh God, like emails coming in one after the other. You imagine like, I heard you on the podcast and I'd really like to know more about your services, or I heard you on the podcast, it really helped me, or I heard you on the podcast and I would like to know how to work with you. So you imagine that and it feels good. So now that's my decision. I will allow that to unfold as a possible scenario. And then how this works is one day out of the blue, someone might contact you and say, would you like to be on my podcast? Or you'll be scrolling Facebook and you'll see something that says, we need podcast people to interview. We need guests on our podcast. And something will just trigger in you and it'll just feel right. And you'll make that move without even thinking about it, without even considering it. And then suddenly the thing that you imagined has occurred. That's how it works. That's how the decisiveness works with the Imaginal Act, and how then knowing how something feels, because you've gone in there and you've seen it first before you've decided to do it. Because this is what happens when these people say, I tried everything and it didn't work. You didn't go in there first and try it. And that's why it didn't work. You didn't go in there first and try it and think how you felt about it, how you felt about doing it. How could I even see an end to this? Could I even see how this is going to pan out first? If you didn't do it in here first, you're going to end up in this perpetual cycle of I tried that, didn't work, tried that, didn't work, tried that, didn't work. You can already know whether something's going to work or not by how you play it out in your mind and how you feel about it. Okay, so this is a very, very important key to getting clients. Otherwise, you're going to end up in this cycle and this hamster wheel of trying new things and not really ever finding that thing that's going to really do good for you and work for you. But you have to understand something as well. Whenever you play something out in your imagination and you know decisively, I would love to be able to get clients that way, then you decide, and that's how it's going to happen. And you allow then everything else to come into play. Like I said, with inspired thought, with simply just seeing something, with simply knowing, being in the knowing that an email will come in, somebody will see my website, something's going to happen here, something will come in to indicate and show me the direction of the next step that I have to take. But it can only do that when you've made that decision and decided and played it out in your mind. This is how it's going to happen, and this is what I decide for myself, and this is what I choose. So building a business can actually be very, very easy. There, like, I truly believe in work. I believe in putting the work in, because I believe that when you really love something, putting the work in is just a part of it. It's part of that contribution to society, to life, to the energy exchange, the exchange of energy for money, the exchange of energy for people's time, the exchange of energy for everything. But not knowing and just allowing external circumstance to dictate how that's going to happen for you is a very dangerous game, which can lead to stress and overwhelm and overthinking and frustration and the feelings of failure that are all a byproduct of just simply not staying in the knowing of this is who I am and this is what I choose, and then allowing events to unfold, and then from those events those clients just come in. But the really powerful imaginal scenes, which I'm going to share with you, which I do often, and it's amazing how quickly these things manifest. Like, I've got different scenarios from consultations and all kinds of things in there. Once you can go in there and imagine them, you can just know it's done. And do not waver from that knowing that as soon as you imagine it and you choose it for yourself and you decide this is what I want, it has to happen. Our creative laws of our universe dictate it has to happen. So the imaginal act is a very, very, very important point, because it allows that decisiveness. And even if you don't imagine immediately, like if you imagine, for example, in your imaginal act, I do this a lot when I'm thinking about, do I want to offer this service? Do I want to put this package together? Do I want to do this coaching program? I just go in there and imagine what it feels like to do it first. And if I don't get that feeling of excitement and joy, and I just don't do it, even though logic tells me, oh, well, it could be good and people need it and it's high value and this, that, and the other, I don't feel good about it. I know it won't work out for me. So the imaginal act is very important, and it's something you have to do before every decision you make in your business, or to make a decision. Let's say, for example, you don't know whether to offer marketing services or website services or both. Go in there and imagine what it's like, and then decide. Or simply go in there and imagine what it's like, and if it feels good and you just want a blanket concept. I'm offering the perfect services for me. I'm offering the best services for me that offer the best value to my clients, yield the best profit for me to be able to do them. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to imagine. That's all you need to go in there and imagine yourself doing, is just, I'm offering services I love. And everything else will unfold from there. So if you apply this in terms of claiming clients, you start to imagine your clients in your mind. You start to imagine them as males or females. Oh, I prefer to work with males. Or you imagine as, oh, do I want to work with people in finance or as startups? Oh, definitely finance. Or, so it's just like that. You make the decisions and the choices inside through imaginal acts first, and then you allow the events, the emails, the chance circumstances, the connections, the messages, the everything else around it to simply unfold. I have another business, and I'll just end on this final note. I have another business, and I literally had to put that business down because I felt myself just trying to force it forward, and I put it down, and I just told myself, when the time is right, I will be able to pick that business up and absolutely run with it, and it will be super successful. But I will only work on that business the moment when I know it's right. I will no longer try and force ideas to come out. I will no longer try and sit there and wonder what to do and stuff like that. And that happened, and it did take about 2 to 3 months, but I was also working very heavily on another project during this time. So it actually felt organically right that it was taking that long. And a few days ago, I woke up in the morning and my mind was so full of this business. I literally got a Google Doc out immediately. I didn't even get dressed or brush my teeth. It was that bad. I just woke up with it all. And I just got this Google Doc out and I was just typing. And I had to audio message some things because I couldn't type fast enough. And everything I need to do for that business literally just downloaded. And that's how it works. So everyone that is in this process of looking and searching either for the techniques to get clients and really kind of like not feeling great about it, like not feeling like, oh, I'll just try something else, or I'll see if I can find, like find the thing that's missing, or why this isn't working for me, or I'll just go and message another bunch of people, or I'll just go and search on job boards for the next 12 years trying to find something, a job, or, I'll do this, that, and the other. If you're in that situation, when it comes to growing your business, just know it's the wrong way of going about it. Everything that you need to do is in part 2 inside the workshop. So go check that out. And I've also, please do leave comments when you're doing this process. We're gonna do this more in the 30-day challenge, which comes after the workshop. But leave comments and tell me what you're struggling with. Anything in the Imagine Lamps videos, any of the scenes that I'm suggesting. You can also make up new scenes. If you want to ask me questions about things that are going on or things that have happened, then please do. But if you want to just get to the point where you're sat there almost immediately, we don't even need to wait for this stuff, and just say, I knew a client was going to come in. I knew that client was going to come in. Then this is how you do it. And this is how you know. So go check that out, and we will be back here tomorrow with the 3rd key to getting clients as we unpack these keys. And really do take this stuff seriously. I have been in this industry for nearly 20 years. I started my business in 2005, so we are nearly at the 20-year mark, and all I know is I've been on many ends of this spectrum of building a business. I built it through recession. I built it through the startup phase into a recession. I thrived in the recession, by the way. And all I can say is, I've had clients pay me £11,000 a month just to manage and run their business. And that client literally just had to show up for a webinar once a week. And I did everything else. So I've been on the end of the spectrum where I've been that hardworking person. And I've been on the other end of the spectrum where I've been this person that has just allowed things to come in. And believe me, there's a night and day difference between using the techniques that I'm sharing with you now as opposed to trying to force everything. It's night and day. Now, what I'm saying is not necessarily that you do one or the other, you do both. But the order is not search, look, find the techniques, and then the clients come. The order is imagine the client's already there and it's done, and then the techniques and the clients will come to you. And you'll know exactly what to do on time, in the perfect time. That's how it works. We're going to do daily accountability. I will see you back here tomorrow for the 3rd key. Really excited about the next one. And in the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic day ahead. And don't forget to go and check out that video inside Virtual CoWorking Space, inside the community area, and you will get access to the scenes that I literally play out in my mind whenever I decide, oh, I want a client. Okay, take care, guys. Let's get into accountability. Journals out there ready, and I shall see you back here tomorrow for another morning mindset. Thank you. Before we begin, don't forget you can join me live online inside Virtual CoWorking Space at www.virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. If you enjoy this session, give it a like. I'd love to hear from you, so write me a comment. And so you don't miss any updates, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin.
So now we're going to look for the positive with our gratitude. First, we'll spend 1 minute thinking of the day before, thinking of all the things that happened, reflecting on work, interactions, relationships, memorable moments, and more. Now you'll write one thing down minimum that you're grateful for. You can, of course, write down more. Something good, something that went right, a small moment or a big win. The more you search for things to be grateful for, the more you will experience things to be grateful for. Now we're going to read out your goal. Make sure your goal is written down in a journal or somewhere you can easily access it. Read your goal now, ideally out loud, and commit to this goal. Believe it will happen. And by reading this daily, the universe knows clearly what your goal is, and the things begin to shift in the direction of your goal. Follow your instincts when this happens by taking action. Now you need to see your goal in visualization. Spend this minute thinking about the goal in your mind. See yourself taking steps towards the goal, or even better still, see yourself having already achieved the goal. Close your eyes and go there. Step into the feeling, step into the place, step into the accomplishment. And finally, it's time for your most important task. Set this task for today and make it relating to your goal. This could be something small like sending an email, recording a video, or making a phone call, or it could be bigger. Either way, one task a day is one step forward, and those steps will add up. Do what you can from where you are now. Set the intention, and the action will carry you towards your goal. Well done you for completing your daily co-create session. Have a fantastic day ahead, and I'll see you next time.